Live from Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall. Welcome to week 2 of the Lock Haven University Coaches Show. I'm Jonathan Schwab. I'll be your host, taking you through the journey, whether you're with us on this Tuesday evening at Haywood's or if you are tuning in Saturday. It's 11 a.m., an hour away from kickoff of the 2016 Lock Haven University home opener, LHU football hosting Edinboro. A warm welcome to those of you listening, and thrilled to be joined to start off tonight's show by Lock Haven University head men's and women's cross country and track and field coach Aaron Russell. Coach Russell, your first appearance on the show, and we've got a lot to talk about already with your team as your men's and women's cross country teams already underway in 2016.
Yeah, definitely. Glad to be here, Jonathan.
Let's start with the men. Preseason ranked number 17 in the country. What was your impression just knowing the respect that your program receives on national level?
That's really where a lot of national rankings at this time of year comes on, based on what you've done in the past. So we don't give much credence to it. With that said, I'm really impressed with what our young men have done so far coming in, being such a young team. So I think they're up to the challenge of trying to live up to that ranking.
Your teams got started on Friday with the Dolan Duels at your own home course at the newly dedicated Stern Family Athletic Complex. It's the 10th annual Dolan Duels. I'm sure you remember back when it all started, but what does that mean to you to say 10th annual of such a great event?
Yeah, and quite honestly, until you mentioned it, I really didn't even know it was the 10th, but it has been going on quite some time. It's a great event for us and Penn State to kick off our season. Just to say to recruits and things, we start our season with Penn State visiting us is huge, and the fact that we've beaten them before and things definitely adds to it as well. But to do it in the honor of former coach Jim Dolan, who really set the foundation for our programs years ago in the 60s and things, really gets us in the right mindset as we go into our season and really push to get things started for the year.
Well, you get to run it again on your own course. What's that like for you to have a really top-notch cross-country course right across the river from the main campus?
It's tremendous. I mean, first off, just to have a place to practice. That we can go to. A lot of teams spend a lot of time out on the roads or having to travel a lot, and for us just to have that, just a short warm-up away. We were over there this afternoon really working hard and stuff. That means a lot. To be able to have a place that's easily accessed by students and fans and things. Quite honestly, we're known as much for the fans that we have at our meets as we are for the course. But the other piece is it's just a great spectator-friendly course. They can see runners a lot throughout the races, and especially in October and things, it's one of the most beautiful places you can run.
Working from the men's side, let's start with Addison Monroe, 5th place finish overall. How would you assess what he was able to do?
We use the Dolan Duels really to kind of start working together in small groups, so I force them to kind of stay together as we go throughout the race. I think Addison probably, if I'd have let him go, probably would have been at least second in that race. But it was good for, like I said, even though we held him back, we know where he's at, and that's what's important. We know how to go from there. He's looking strong. He's definitely not content with his brother being the only Monroe in our record books and having some of those titles. And I think he's really hungry and really smart about going after things.
Joined by Lock Haven University men's and women's head cross country and track and field coach Aaron Russell on the LHU Coaches Show. Live from Haywood's on the Green this Tuesday night. And for those of you tuning in Saturday, preparing for LHU football hosting Edinboro as well. On the men's side, you also had 3 freshmen who figured out the sticking together thing pretty well. What do you think they could bring to the table for you?
We knew they had a lot of talent coming in. When you make that adjustment, getting longer races in college and the mileage goes up, the volume of what we're doing increases. Usually the rule of thumb is that, we wait till their sophomore year to really see the benefits. These 3 are ready to go. They're motivated. they've shown they have what it takes mentally to kind of get things done out there. I think when we hit a full 8K course in another week, so there'll be a little bit of growing pains taking place, but these guys are up for the challenge. I think they're going to be a significant part of whatever we accomplish here at the end of the season.
How about from the women? What did you see from them?
Wow, we're young on the women's side. We have more freshmen than all upperclassmen on our team. So when you have that, it kind of coaches get scared. I think what's going to happen here. But we have a tremendously mature group of freshmen, fun to be around, and they work hard. And when they all come in like that, things start coming together. Our top freshman, Amanda Schultz, has just taken off. She's picking right up where we lost Alexis Arnold from last season. She's going to be a front runner, and she's going to be fighting for all conference, all region stuff by the end of the year. Backed up, we have a couple solid upperclassmen in there, from Allison Gross to Courtney Capper and Lizzie Dugood, but we also have Amanda Hassinger, Courtney Dukeman, just a whole lineup of freshmen that are just stepping up every day.
Looking ahead, September 17th, the Division II Challenge at Kutztown. What are you expecting and aiming for at that meet?
This meet's really grown over the years. It started off with really us, Shippensburg, Kutztown kind of being the main challenges, just kind of see where we're all at the beginning of the year. It's grown. Some New England schools started coming down, Stonehill, American International, who were in the national ranking, Southern Connecticut as well. And this year we actually have Mount Olive's coming up from the South region. They finished top 20 in the country last year. So it's really good, gives us a good idea of where we fit nationally with some of these other teams being ranked and things. With that said, we kind of, we don't go 100% guns out. We still early on work on kind of teaching these kids to run together and push each other during races and stuff. But we'll give it a good effort, and it'll be good to see where we are.
Our One for Fun for Lock Haven University head men's and women's cross country and track and field coach Aaron Russell. I know you were all over the country this summer with your free time along with your wife Jody. How many different states did you visit in the summer of 2016?
I believe 14.
My goodness.
I believe.
How much rest did you get?
Not much, but it was a great summer out at the Olympic Trials for 10 days was amazing, and up the Maine coast, and just really rejuvenated ourselves. It was well needed.
And back to business, Lock Haven University head men's and women's cross country and track and field coach Aaron Russell. Thank you for the time and continued success going forward.
Definitely. Hopefully we get some people out to support us and get some people out to support the football team. They've been working hard up there, and big things are on the horizon.
And we will talk with LHU head football coach Dave Taynor coming up next. You're listening to the Lock Haven University Coaches Show on the Bear Country Sports Network.
The Bear Country 99.9.
Welcome back to the LHU Coaches Show from Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall, week 2 of this Coaches Show and segment number 2 of Coaches Show number 2. Jonathan Schwab on the Bear Country Sports Network. For those of you joining us on this Tuesday evening from Haywood's on the Green, great to have you here. For those of you tuning in on the Bear Country Sports Network, we are now 48 minutes away from kickoff of the Lock Haven University home opener as the Bald Eagles welcome Edinburgh to Hubert Jack Stadium. Right now, let's give a warm Haven welcome to Lock Haven University head football coach Dave Taynor.
Thank you.
And that was warm. I felt the warmth of that welcome, Coach. Coming off the season opener last Thursday at Clarion, and early on, if folks were expecting a shootout, it was actually the defenses over the first quarter plus that got work done. Your defense holding Clarion's offense to 3 points over their first 4 possessions. Early in the game, what did you do well defensively?
From a defensive standpoint, I think we came out early in the game and we played a very fast brand of football. Our guys' eye discipline was really good. And I think the preparation going into the game was really well. And I think on both sides, from an offensive standpoint, took a little bit of time to settle in because both defenses did some things to force the opponent offense to play left-handed, to go away from their dominant things going into the game. So
I'm glad you specified there. We don't want to make our left-handed audience a little bit uncomfortable, but talking about the dominant hand, yes, I'm left-handed. As we continue,
I'll make you go to the right.
That's right. I'm uncomfortable with the right hand. One of the ways you came up with an early stop, third down sack by Brandon Clements. You talked about how he may be one of your most improved players coming into this season. What has he done to improve himself?
Well, Brandon Clements has improved quite a bit. Last year, we would have said that he was a very high-effort guy that wasn't necessarily technically and fundamentally ready to go. And now he's improved quite a bit. His sack, he did a great job of clearing his hips, same arm, same leg, got his toes pointed to the quarterback, which is really something that when we evaluate pass rushers is something you want to see, a guy that can turn his hips and point towards the quarterback. And it was a sack that was created on its own. It was something last year in our overall defense, a guy that just create a pass rush by himself, we struggled a little bit. It had to be created through schemes. So he was able to create some pressure. Also, Kevin Chappell was able to create some pressure individually. I think overall in the game we had 2 sacks. We didn't give up any sacks, and we put their quarterback on the ground 10 times with hits, and our quarterback was on the ground twice. So I think we did a better job of pressuring them and creating some pressure on the quarterback in comparison to what we did last year.
And 2 questions to piggyback off of that. The first one is, how much better do you expect over 11 weeks you will be in getting after the opposing quarterback than you were last year?
We expect to be considerably better at it. I mean, it's been a focal point for us, is being able to create some pressure and get better on third downs. And, while the actual results as far as getting off the field on third downs wasn't necessarily improved that much from a result standpoint on Thursday, the actions of actually pressuring the quarterback were there. You got to give Connor Simmons from Clarion a lot of credit. He stood in there and made some good throws like you would expect a senior quarterback to do.
On the other side, your offensive line, you mentioned Caleb Walton on the ground just twice last Thursday. What did your offensive line do well in your estimation?
Well, we, as an offensive line unit, we gave up 0 sacks, which our goal going into the game is 1 or less sacks in a game, so we met that goal. We also, on the other side, we had 50 knockdown blocks in the game. Last year, the most knockdown blocks, or what some people will call pancake blocks, the most pancakes that our team had in any one game was 18, and we had 50 in this game. In fact, we had one player with Trent Fielding who had 20 knockdown blocks by himself in a game, which was 2 more than the offensive line combined for in any game last year. So we played very physically up front. We were able to get movement at the point of attack quite a bit, protected the quarterback well, which allowed us to be pretty efficient from an offensive standpoint as far as moving the football on last Thursday.
And your best drive offensively in that first half, an 11-play, 70-yard drive. You put points on the board. What were the things you were able to impact the Clarion defense with during that drive? Well,
they did a very good job early on as far as working to take away what we had on them last year, which was working our 3 receiver surfaces, and they over-rotated and put the free safety to the middle of the field, which allowed us to get a little bit of weak side run game. It also allowed us to get some one-on-one matchups on that single side. So when we were able to create those matchups and was able to get Dan Krupko on that series, had a 27-yard catch on a corner route, and we were able to run the ball to the weak side of the defense. I think we had 4 carries on that drive of 8 yards or more. So we were able to get some press at the point of attack, and was really the impetus into it. Would like to see us finish the drive with a touchdown. We got a holding call at the 1-yard line, which kicked us back and ended up having to kick a field goal. On that holding call, we got into the end zone. So we got into the end zone, but we had a holding call out on the perimeter. And I'll say that, when you look at it, we had 4 holding calls that killed drives. We've got to clean it up. We've got to keep our shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage rather than being perpendicular to the line of scrimmage. If we do that and we continue to block as aggressively as we did at the wide receiver position, we have the opportunity to be pretty successful out in space and creating some big play opportunities.
Joined by Lock Haven head football coach David Taynor on the LHU Coaches Show. We are at Haywood's on the Green every Tuesday night through the fall and winter seasons. You can also hear the show this Saturday at 11 a.m. preceding Lock Haven football as they host Edinburgh. When we come back with Coach Taynor, we'll talk a little bit more about the game at Clarion and take a look ahead to the home opener on Saturday. You're listening to the Lock Haven University Coaches Show on the Bear Country Sports Network.
Bear Country 99.9.
Great to have you with us from Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall. If you are with us Tuesday night, this is the LHU Coaches Show presented by the Bear Country Sports Network. For those of you listening on the Bear Country Sports Network, Lock Haven University football is about 40 minutes away. Lock Haven hosting Edinburgh 2016 home opener for LHU, and joined once again by Lock Haven University head football coach Dave Taynor. And Coach, we were talking about the offensive line and the time they provided Caleb Walton. It turned into points in the second half. 3 points in the first half for your team. First two drives of the second half, touchdown. How were you able to turn a drive that was a field goal and some drives that ended in unfortunate fashion into two early second half touchdowns?
Well, I think, first off, I have to give Clarion a little bit of credit. They did a good job of taking away things that they gave us last year. So it took a little bit of time to get our personnel adjusted and create the matchups for our offense that we wanted to be able to get. We felt really comfortable coming out in the second half as far as that we were in those good positions. And, we were able to isolate Sean Seif a few times in some different areas on the field, and ended up having 9 catches, 170 yards, and a touchdown. That was a big part of it. He's a guy that can make some great plays for us. So we were able to do it, and we were able to continue to run the ball well when we wanted to do it and attack the areas where they were trying to protect themselves in the pass game in certain areas. We ran the ball in other areas. So we were able to create a little bit of balance on it. We finished those first 2 drives pretty well. The third drive, we were driving really well, and we turned the ball over, which was somewhat of a nemesis for us in this game. We had 2 times where we really controlled the line of scrimmage and we put the ball on the surface. We've got to get that corrected going into the next game. If you're going to win games, you got to win 2 things. You got to win the turnover battle, which we didn't win, and you want to win the field position battle. I did a study over the last 56 games that I've coached as a head coach, and in those games there's only been 5 times where the team who's won lost the field position battle. So it's a huge indicator of it. So it's important for us to improve on what we were doing from the special team standpoint, control the football, and if we do that, will allow us to feed our base philosophy on offense, which is feed the studs, figure out who your best players are, and get them a chance to go do what they do best on Saturdays. So
after the 41-24 loss at Clarion, you move forward now to your home opener against Edinburgh. How does it feel to be able to play in front of the home fans at Hubert Jack Stadium?
It's always great to play at home. You're able to get in. You have great support from the crowd, from the fans, from the people, and you build up into it. It gets an opportunity for our young men to come and play at their home stadium and defend that stadium. And we want to. So anytime we get an opportunity to play at home, we had I believe it's 6 of them this year. So we're or we got 5 of them this year at home. So we're looking forward to all those opportunities.
Edinburgh is the opponent. How about a brief synopsis of what the fans who come to the stadium should expect from this Edinburgh team under a new head coach?
Well, I think Coach Lustig has done an excellent job in getting his guys prepared. If you watched, I was able to see him on film a few games last year and into this year. You can tell that there's a definite increase in their want to. There's guys that are truly flying around and are showing some investment in what they're doing. They're a fast-paced style offense, so there's going to be 2 teams that are trying to crank out a lot of plays. So it'll be a fun game to watch. There's no doubt about that. Defensively, they did a very good job against the run last week. They only gave up 80 yards rushing. We're able to be physical at the point of attack. They got an inside linebacker, Mike Shansky, that was a 2-time all-conference player that last year had a medical red shirt. So I think he's probably the leader of their interior on their defense. And then the 2 defensive ends are both pretty talented guys. So, they'll be a solid defense, and, there's always opportunities in order to be successful if you go and execute. So it's going to come down to executing and playing a clean game of football.
Our One for Fun with Lock Haven head football coach Dave Taynor. We talked last week about you doing the backflip into the swimming pool. And that got me thinking.
Okay, here we go.
It's going to be much more down the middle than you're expecting now. But if you were not a football coach, what sport would you be coaching?
If I wasn't a football coach and be coaching, it would probably have to be baseball. I played 1 year of college baseball and went to school really to play both sports. So baseball would be that second sport. Now, if I had a sport that I could actually go and coach and have fun doing, it'd be golf. It's not going to be track there, okay? Aaron Russell out there wanting me to say track, okay? You can look at me. I might have coached a thrower or two if I got into that, but I'm not going to coach anybody on the 100, okay? So my distances are 10 and 20. I'm a former offensive line. They don't do that in track. But if I had one that I could actually coach and enjoy doing, I enjoy playing a little bit of golf. So if somebody would listen to me, I'd probably try to coach them.
Lock Haven University head football coach David Taynor, thank you for the time and good luck against Edinboro.
All right, thank you very much.
That'll do it for this week's edition of the Lock Haven University Coaches Show. Thanks to David Taynor and Aaron Russell for joining us. For those of you at Haywood's on the Green on this Tuesday evening, we appreciate you coming out. For those of you listening on the Bear, coming up next, it is the pregame Lock Haven University football hosting Edinboro. That is followed by a noon kickoff. Nate Carpenter and I will be with you. Coming up next, you've been listening to the Lock Haven University Coaches Show, presented by the Bear Country Sports Network.